Runpreneur vlog, and I'm delighted to announce today that the Runpreneur challenge is going officially live. Now, our challenge is to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of 1 lap around the world.
We're not doing that today, are we?
Not today. It's a staggering 40,075 kilometres. It's going to take somewhere in the region of 11 years to accomplish. I'll commit to running whilst vlogging a minimum of 5 kilometres every day, and I'll even do it barefoot style. Now, I'm delighted to have my good friend next to me, Rob Moore, who is my business and marketing mentor. He is the founder of the Disruptive Entrepreneur brand and podcast. He has millions of listeners from over 200 different countries. He is a serial entrepreneur on absolute steroids. He's got 2 massive training companies, Progressive Property and Progressive Success, of which I've been a client of both, and he's a social media and marketing extraordinaire. So thank you so much for agreeing to launch this with me, Rob.
Thanks.
How are you?
I don't know yet. I'll tell you in 5k. Yeah, I've got like this stinking cold and I haven't run since 1926, so if this doesn't end well, that's why.
Well, I picked Rob to launch this with me because he doesn't realise yet, but he's had a pretty profound impact on this challenge. Now, being a podcast interviewer, he gets A-listers all over the shop. I think he's interviewing Muhammad Ali's daughter tomorrow, so I'm sandwiched between some pretty heavy hitters. But he's somebody who has had a huge impact on my journey. So what I want to do is just touch base on our history. So do you remember back to the middle 2000s sometime, Rob? I think you were in a stripy shirt with your co-founder, Mark Homer. I think you just launched Progressive Property. Can you remember those days?
Yeah, I don't think I could grow a beard back then. I do remember, yeah, all excited and naive about how we were going to take over the world and own about 1 million properties. We own 990 that we own, co-own and manage now, so we've done all right. But one thing I will say, when you start out in business and as an entrepreneur, freaking enjoy the early years, because you always want more and you always want to be bigger than your competitors and you want to be a millionaire. And it's so easy I want to be where 10 years, that's where I want to be, and you forget to enjoy the moment.
No.
And those early years were some of the most exciting years of my life. I'm fucked already.
Absolutely. And I was on Rob and Mark's first ever property masterclass, and I've seen the journey that Rob has kind of grown exponentially in. And the reason I'm bringing this story up is because my vlog is Runpreneur. It's about entrepreneurship and running, and Rob was my first introduction to entrepreneurship. He didn't realise, but after that masterclass back in, I think it might have been 2005, 2006, I handed my notice in my corporate job and started my official journey in entrepreneurship. So for that, Rob, thank you very much.
That's all right. There's probably quite a few bosses around the world that are really pissed with me that they've lost a lot of their good stuff.
Yeah, but that's being disruptive, isn't it? And I think ultimately as well, I mean, I've trained under Rob for many a year, and I've probably spent somewhere in the region of about £50,000. But when you look at my journey, it introduced me into property, and I built a portfolio of 96 properties.
Bosh.
Learning what this man taught me. So 50
grand's nothing.
50 grand in, and there's equity of just shy of 4 million. It's not a bad return. So there's a lot to be said about getting education and by people who can actually walk the walk rather than talk the talk. So
run the run.
Rob can do both, I might add. So that was our first journey together. Now, the question on that is, did you have the vision of what your life would look like today back then? And did you follow that plan?
Yeah. So I definitely wanted to be successful. I wanted to have a big portfolio. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to run a successful business and be a successful entrepreneur. Definitely. And just about every tool or technique you could think of, manifestation, visualization, incantation, goal setting, you name it, I've done. And along the way, you get thrown challenges and things don't go the way you initially planned them. And it's harder than you thought, and it takes longer than you thought. And so I think that to be a very successful person, you have to set goals, which is a fantasy, You know, if you think about it, let's say someone wants to set a goal to be a millionaire. That's the fantasy. I want to be a millionaire.
Yep.
The reality is 5 years of struggle, employing staff, building a customer database, and wasting money on ads, and you know all the things you have to do to get there is the reality. So, yes, I always knew I was going to do something with my life.
And I think
Yeah.
there's a point I just want to make on that, because I'm giving Rob a breather as well. But
That's what I'm going.
but ultimately,
All my jacket. Look.
I don't think. I mean, Rob's been on a journey of his own, but I don't think he maybe fully appreciates the vast volume of people that have been through his trainings and things, that he's genuinely made a huge impact on their lives. And you know, I'm a prime example of that. And you know, I've seen the journey that Rob's been on, because you know, I didn't spend 50 grand in one go. It was spread out over about 10 years or so.
Yeah, you need to sort that out as well.
But I get a return on it all, Rob. That's the difference. But it was something to kind of see his exponential growth, because it was ridiculous. I mean, he's been through a full-blown recession, kind of a slightly smaller recession. He's been through a COVID pandemic that we're still going through, and he comes out still extremely strong. And what would you say, how did you manage that?
I think I learned to love challenges. I think I learned that your reward for solving a problem is a bigger one. I think I learned that it doesn't get easier, you get better. I think I learned that there are costs and downsides to the big upsides and the rewards of all the success trappings that you get. I love what I do and do what I love for the most part, though why the f*** I agreed to do this is another thing. But look, if anyone wants to be successful, it's not just you're going to have some challenges, it's that challenges are part of your success. You were just telling me before we went on live that you've ran through 6 injuries running the last 400 odd days in a row. That's a challenge. If you want to run the circumference of the world, you're going to have to run through 30 injuries.
Yep.
So, do you remember earlier I said that there's naivety in fantasy when you start out, and you kind of need that.
Yep.
Because if we could fast forward 10 years and 8 months when you finish this challenge and tell you what you're going to get, you'd probably think, I'll go and do something easier. Well, the blisters you're going to get.
Yep.
You might get an infection. You know, you might get shin splints. So when you start, it's good to have a bit of naivety and fantasy to get going. But when you've been in business long enough, you know that there are always challenges around the corner.
Yeah.
One more thing I'll say is that every upside has a downside. So things you perceive are good also have challenges. Things you perceive are hard also have good in them. So I just try now to remember that if it's hard, there's upsides I'm missing. And if I think it's going well, there's downsides I'm missing. And that gives you balance and wisdom in your journey. It gives you longevity and endurance. Because a lot of people want to be successful. And they'll spend 6 months hustling, but not 6 decades.
Yep.
Because they don't, are we straight on or right?
Right here, yeah.
That's good. So, yeah, there you go. Give me a rest.
No, that's...
Ask another question. Talk for a bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
The stitch is just kicking in.
Well, that leads on really nicely to my next point, because, you know, I've listened. I mean, I didn't mention that he's a
that grass smells lovely, doesn't it?
It does, not if you've got hay fever. But anyway, he's a best-selling author of 18 odd books, and I've read many of his books as well. And there's not many liners that this guy can produce now that I haven't heard already and taken note of. And one of my favourites was, your passion is your profession.
Yeah.
And we'll come on to that in just a second. But talking about challenges, I think there's a really important point here, because the second part of my journey with this gentleman to my left was at the beginning of lockdown 1. And I was at a bit of a crossroads in my life. I was an entrepreneur. I wasn't a serial entrepreneur. I had a property business that's been stable and has supported me for the last 15 years or so, but it had been through tough times. I was looking at growing an online business and I was failing at it. And lockdown hit and everything kind of went horribly wrong. And I remember Rob does some, he's a lifetime mentor of mine, this guy. Okay, so I can basically...
wave to the crowd.
I can call this guy up when I have any issues or I need some help. And I remember this conversation like it was yesterday. I was at a crossroads. I was leaving a business that I'd been working in for 3 years. We didn't get the results we wanted. And I said, Rob, I don't know what to do. I'm at a massive crossroads. And I'll tell you exactly, and I can quote it word for word. He said, you need to produce content every day for a year. And he said, mark my words, if you do that, you know, opportunities and money will never be an issue for you again. Okay, so let's put that to the test. I'm approaching this weekend, it'll be my 400th day running. Okay, so I've been vlogging every day, running every single day for nearly 400 days. And so I've done what he's asked. And I publish all over social media, I have a blog, a podcast, YouTube channel, nowhere near as much engagement as this guy has, but we're getting there. You have to start somewhere, Rob. And interestingly, let's look at where we were. So I started at the beginning. I had one stable property business, but it was a struggling property business. I had an online business which I couldn't get off the ground. And where am I now? Okay, so I've now got 8 businesses. So I'd now say I am a serial entrepreneur. 6 of them are profitable, and they are all based around fixed, recurring, subscription-based income. So multiple streams, and I'd like to think we're recession-proof. If one fails, the other one plugs the gap. The other 2 businesses are startups, and I'm really, really excited about what the future holds for them. But most importantly, the challenge was launched from that. And the one thing I'll thank this guy for more than anything else is how he helped me find my passion. Because I was doing business, I love business, I enjoy it, but nothing has given me as much passion as raising money for children. And my mission was very simple: to save a child's life, hopefully more. And the running vlog gave me this challenge that I could take to the next level, to try and raise an epic amount of money that will genuinely save the lives of children. So this is why I wanted Rob with me here, because he didn't realise this probably until now. Would that be fair?
No, I didn't. It's great to listen and hear not only you saving my energy, but I'm probably not the best at patting myself on the back. I'm actually going to ask you a question on your thoughts about me in a moment, so remind me to.
Yeah, I will do.
But I'm often looking at what's next, what could I be doing better, what should I be doing more of, and that's an entrepreneurial trait, and that has upsides.
Yep.
But I'm always telling my clients to appreciate themselves a bit more, celebrate their successes, look at what they've done well, at least tick off a few things that they've added to their CV that their past self would be proud of.
Yep.
I don't do that as much with myself as I should. So listening to you say that, and knowing that I've been part of a driving force in saving one life or however many lives, that's a very special feeling.
Well,
So
you wouldn't be the driving force, you'd have been the catalyst. Without you, it wouldn't exist.
yeah, well that's
And
even better. Yeah.
That is. And it's something that you know, I think you do a lot of things. We'll come on to this in a second, because there's a topic I want to talk to you about which shows a different side to you. And I think it's really important. There's a couple of different sides. We're going to go quite deep, Rob. I'm going to run a little bit quicker, push you a bit harder, and then ask you some deep questions. But the first
Bring it on.
The first one I want to do, you don't.
My mum could run quicker than this. Bring it on.
You don't publicise enough about, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, the philanthropic work that you do in the background.
No, I don't.
You have the Rob Moore Foundation. Okay, this is supporting kind of vulnerable and underprivileged entrepreneurs and young people to get started in a world where 1 in 10 businesses succeed. Okay, so you giving people the platform with your successes is only going to greatly enhance their potential of turning the economy, the global economy, which needs support from entrepreneurs, and that's a massive, massive part to play in. We'll come on to that a bit more in just a second. But in addition to that, you're a 2-time world record holder. I am also a 2-time world record holder, but let's just compare the big world record, right? Rob's world record is for the longest public speech, okay, that he did in person, and he raised an awful lot of money for charity.
115 grand.
115 grand. It's unbelievable. My world record was the fastest male marathon runner dressed as a ninja. so
Quite a niche world record.
It's a niche one, but you can see where I went with it. But the point of the matter is Rob has raised hundreds of thousands of pounds for charities. And I was going through your marketing materials and your social profiles I do regularly, and there's not enough about that side. And I think that doesn't show you the real you, because I know how hard it is to raise money. I know that you've built up your brand and business to kind of you want to give back as part of that, and you've got a platform to do so, but you still have to do it. And it's so, the time and effort that goes into it for no financial gain or nothing, you get nothing back from it other than a selfless feeling that you've made a difference to those who need it the most. And I just want to get your views on what you've done for charity today, how you feel about it, and is there anything else? Well, you're doing it now, so you've got anything else in the future planned for your philanthropic ambitions?
Okay, so I've done various events for my companies, Progressive Property and Progressive Success, and instead of charging a ticket fee, I've charged a donation to either Sue Ryder or Cancer Research, or now my own foundation. That was before I had my own foundation. Because for years I've been helping charities that were close to us. Mark's uncle,
Yep.
his dad, both passed away of cancer. I believe both in Sue Ryder, and my nan, she passed away in care. And so company events where instead of taking the ticket fee, we donated it to charity. Then I wanted to start challenging myself, because I think the more you challenge yourself, the more people are inspired to challenge themselves. And you really only grow through challenge. So I thought, I need to do something that will put me through some pain, and I can also raise money for charity. And like chin-ups and pull-ups were just out of my reach and not on brand. But in our research, we found that the public speaking world record, the longest non-stop public speech, was about 42 hours. And everyone was like, well, Rob could do that. He does that anyway. So I went for it in true Rob style. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. I didn't train for it. Like, I haven't run for years and I'm doing this. Didn't run or train. I just thought, let's go for it. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yep.
So much so, David Goggins basically went, yeah, right. David Goggins basically said to me, Roger that, which in his language means I respect you. And respect is everything with him.
Yeah.
So I spoke non-stop. I broke the record by 5.25 hours, smashed it, and raised 115 grand for Sue Ryder. Then I did it again, then we did the team world record, and I think I did 3. And then after all of that, I thought, I'm raising a lot of money for random charities. I'd also studied a lot of billionaires. I've written the book Money, which is the UK's best-selling book on money, according to the second biggest publisher in the world, who published for me. And usually billionaires of the old ages, of the past, 20 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever, when they wield too much power, society forces them to relinquish their power. Whether that's through penal taxation or new laws, etc. Or just massive criticism. Excuse me. So I thought, I'm not going to wait till I'm 65 and a billionaire or 100 millionaire for society to nag me that I should be giving a lot of it away. I'm going to start in my 30s. I'm going to get ahead of the curve from studying the traits of the greats. And that's what I did. I set up my foundation, the Rob Moore Foundation. At the same time as I launched my book Money, all the profits for the book Money go to that foundation. So, you know, when the haters go, oh, I've only written a book Money so I can make money off you. But no, I don't. It all goes to my foundation. And now I have my own foundation. It's a bit more aligned, spearheaded. There's a mission, a cause. The mission of my foundation is to help young and underprivileged people start meaningful businesses that change the world. And so since then, we've helped start and scale up entrepreneurs across the world, either underprivileged but not young, or young. And when we say meaningful businesses, anyone can apply for us to give them money. We don't take shareholding and all that. We also have resources, content, mentoring, online content that we donate for free. But to give you 2 examples, One lady, her husband and her husband's brother died within quick succession of each other, leaving her with 2 kids and no male role model in their life. And that inspired her to write children's books and write the stories about dealing with trauma and loss for children. And she applied and we gave her a nice lump of money to get that off the ground. Another lady, her son was murdered when he was 2 by her ex-partner. And she spent a lot of years campaigning to change the law. She finally got the law changed to protect children a bit more. And then she applied and we gave her a lump of money because she's developing an app that helps you track and keep your children safe.
Yep.
Now look, it doesn't have to be such a emotional or powerful story, but I want to invest in people through my foundation who are making a difference and changing the world.
And I think that's unbelievable to listen to, and I know of some of these case studies, but I don't fall into the same category by any stretch, but I was a young entrepreneur and you helped me, so I'm proof that this concept works, and with the right backing and the right support you can genuinely build a sustainable business, especially following people like Rob who have done it multiple times over and over again. The enhancement, I'd love to know the statistics of the success rate of businesses that have a strong, solid mentor behind them, and I think that's really, really important. But just for feedback from me, whether you like it or not, I think you need to do more on this stuff, because people don't see this side of you enough, and I think it's a side that you should be promoting, because this is the stuff that changes lives. And I know the stuff that you do on a daily basis does, but these are the powerful emotional stories that people can resonate with, that genuinely makes a difference in the world. So
noted.
Kudos to you, by the way.
If you go on my website robmoore.com, you can find the foundation page there. Anyone can apply for support.
Wonderful. And the next thing I want to talk about then is a bit more about you. And my kind of niche with Runpreneur was always about how you can use, my topics of interest are entrepreneurship and running, but my niche topic is how you can use exercise as a release mechanism to help manage the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety. Now, to put it in perspective, this launch has been super stressful for me. Okay, I'm not used to this side of things. It's been overwhelming. If I don't think I was able to run and talk about my experience, I would have probably hit mental breakdown. It was super stressful for me. Now, it's all relative to what people go through. But Rob here has got 20x what I do, and you're probably getting somewhere close to where he is. He's got a huge following online. He's in the public kind of mainstream. And how you're a serial entrepreneur, you've got probably investments all over the show as well. How do you manage that pressure cooker? What is your release? What is your secret? Because I couldn't, if I 20 times what I've got, I don't have it in me to kind of do that. Whereas the extreme circumstances you find yourself in every single day, how do you manage it? What's your secret?
I've learned from billionaires that the difference between really smart people who don't make much money and billionaires who do is their ability to handle pressure and stress. Because you can be smart and well educated and go to the best Ivy League schools, but if you can't handle pressure and stress, you're not going to grow as an entrepreneur. And if you think about what pressure and stress Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk have to endure every single day, and they do it with no loss of enthusiasm, they do it with resilience, longevity. So the secret to growth is to embrace increasing levels of pressure and stress, and to accept the criticism that comes along the way as part of the journey towards success and part of the cost of success. Doing what you love and loving what you do most of the time helps.
Yep.
Having a viable business model that's got upward growth trend possibility in the market helps. Being good at sales and marketing helps. But every winner was once a beginner and every master was once a disaster. And you can start with no experience and knowledge, but knowing that you'll learn what you need to learn and do what you need to do and become who you need to become. Now, people misunderstand me when I talk about all the billionaires I've interviewed. Like, oh, Rob, I interviewed billionaires because they make billions. It's not all about the money. I don't interview billionaires because they made $1 billion. I interview billionaires because I want to know who they became making $1 billion.
Yeah. And that's just for the record, I'm not a billionaire, so but no, that's really interesting, because you just embrace it. You love this pressure. You love this game, and I think we've known each other a long time, and I think this is very alien to me. I'm an introverted character. I hate being the public face. I hate any of that. I'm not an extrovert. I'm not a key person of influence. I'm trying to be, because I was challenged and to push myself outside my comfort zone. But you talk about this stuff. I talk about it with fear and anxiety. You talk about it like, I'm going to war and I'm going to win. And I think that's really, it's enlightening for me, because you don't think of this as pressure. You think that this is what you do and what you enjoy. And I think there's a huge amount of how admirable that is from me looking at you is vast. So
thank you. I'll tell you why. Because the red pill to the blue pill, or path B to this path A, is being in the dead end job you hate for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, by the way, I'm not a knocker of employers and employees. Every employer needs an employee. Some people are not made to be entrepreneurs, or at least haven't got the skill set yet. But I've had 2 jobs and been fired 3 times. I know what my blue pill is. I know what my road B is.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
So this road's got challenges. When you've got challenges on this road, you look over there and go, that looks like a nice, easy road. It's not, it's just got different challenges.
Yeah.
I like my challenges here. And by the way, I have days and I have to remind myself of that, but that's why I do what I love and love what I do. And I deal with the pressure and stress that comes along the way.
No, that's amazing. And I think the message I've taken there as well is that people get too fixated with the destination or the goal. I hate the word goal and destination. I've always used milestone, because it's one big long journey, and you've got to enjoy that journey and understand that you're going to get challenges all over the show. I mean, this 10 years and 8 months journey I'm embarking on, it's going to have very different challenges to the ones that Rob is embarking on with his journey, but they're still challenges and they still need to be overcome. And the ability to overcome them makes that journey far more enjoyable from my perspective. So the next thing I want to ask Rob is, what's next for you? Because the other question is, how do you keep going, keep motivating yourself to do the bigger and better things? Because you reach such dizzy heights, and with anything, novelty happens when you get to that level. How do you stop being complacent? How do you stop that kind of novelty of that level of success, blinding you from what you want to achieve moving forward?
When I was at school, 8 to 12, I was the fattest kid in my year, and I was the butt of all the jokes, and I felt ostracised and alone, and a lack of being seen or noticed or admired or valued. I begged my mum and dad to let me leave the school. I cried to them every weekend. Finally, after 2 years, they let me. I lost 3 stone in 9 weeks, and I was all of a sudden skinny guy. Girls started to like me. The kids wanted me in the teams, all of that. But that little kid who felt a lack of being noticed and respected and admired and valuable and useful didn't lose with the weight that I lost. Yep. To a certain degree, I'm still carrying that person, trying to show the world I'm useful and valuable and worthy of some kind of recognition. That's a big part of it. The next thing is, my dad had a massive nervous breakdown when he was 55, I think. We nearly lost him, and it's been hard keeping him here. And my dad raised me to be an entrepreneur, and I got lost in the school system. 25 years old, in a lot of debt, lazy, complacent, arrogant, cocky, chip on my shoulder, useless. And then when my dad had this massive nervous breakdown in his pub in front of all the customers, I felt shame and humiliation and embarrassment. I had a week of beating myself up, feeling like a loser. And then I made a decision. Now, I've taken all that pain and that energy, and I focus into being a force for good in the world, changing people's lives and making a difference. So that's energy that I'm push forward. You know, you turn your pain into gain.
No, that's amazing. You can see the finish line. You wanted to ask me a question that you wanted a response from, so I better give you the opportunity now before you run out of concrete to run on.
If you were me, would you focus on one niche to build my brand, or carry on doing what I'm doing, which is multiple niches, and why? Like, should I just focus on writing books on money and doing content on money for the next 50 years? Or entrepreneurship, social media, business growth, mindset? Which one and why?
I think my opinion is that you should focus on one. It doesn't mean you can't do the others, but what you should be known for is one. I mean, I kind of segregated myself from my other business brands because I wanted to be known as my brand, Runpreneur, because I believe that's going to make the biggest impact in this world in a positive way, and it's so in line with my passion. So my suggestion, for what it's worth...
What do you think I'm known for?
You're known... I think the Disruptive Entrepreneur was a big turning point in your career. I think you're known for changing people's perceptions of entrepreneurship, changing people's perception of opportunity, and changing people's perceptions that there is a real opportunity there and it's available to people, it's accessible, and that people can change their lives and change the lives of others. And I think that's a really, really strong and amazing message. But you get kind of caught into so many other different sub-niches, which are fine, but I think it's ultimately, I know you now, I knew you at the beginning as a trainer in progressive property. I now know you as a disruptive influencer in the entrepreneurial space, and I think that's a really, really strong message, and I would continually be pushing to touch people's lives and make a difference to those and the lives that they touch. I think that's who you should be known for, in my opinion. Gotcha. We can draw it up now, because you are absolutely a machine to do that in a suit. So thank you so much, Rob. I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support, and kudos for you for just turning up and just doing this, which isn't easy. A 5k is not easy. In what you're wearing in this temperature, that takes some serious courage and serious kudos. So thank you so much. I look forward to this next 10 years, 8 months, and I'm going to be picking your brains a lot of the time along the way, because I will be one of those lives you've touched in a profoundly positive way that will hopefully have a knock-on effect that will change the lives of others that need it the most. So thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see Rob on the next run.
If you don't risk anything, you risk everything.
Legend.